Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how I do it, even if you don't care. And we're wrapping up our in-depth look at the forces of Necrons in Battlefleet Gothic with my final thoughts. All in all, the Necrons are ridiculously powered. I mean, if there are those out there who feel like, the Necrons got nerfed in 40k and they're one of the weakest ship armies in the game, will definitely love them in Battlefleet Gothic because they're severely overpowered in Battlefleet Gothic, if you ask me. They're really awesome. They have a save that protects them against all forms of attack. There's no way for them to not get this save that I've been able to find. They've got the fastest speeds in the fleet that give the Dark Eldar a run for their money, and they've got some pretty nasty abilities. A lot of their weapons are really awesome, like the Lightning Arch, which counts all vehicles as closing and ignore holo fields, and the fact that they're able to spread out the number of firing arcs that they get depending on which firing arc they go into, if they have multiple firing arcs, which is awesome. They've got the Particle Whip, which features as a lance, which ignores all forms of shields on a roll of a 6, which is just dirty. The fact that they can get portals that allow them additional hit and run attacks, and they don't have to follow the restrictions on boarding in terms of ships with hull points and such, which is really awesome. Their greatest weaknesses that I could see for them is their no ordnance payloads, so it's really hard for them to get a nice like board control feel for them. But again, since they're ridiculously fast, there's no way to hide from them. And plus they do have the pulsar generator, which features as they get an anti-ordnance wave, which means they not only get the turret attack, but they get a pulse attack before the ordnance get to them, and then if they do get to them, then they have the turrets to go through, which is really nice to have. Especially since they have no ordnance, they have something to at least defend themselves against oncoming ordnance. Let's see. Another weaknesses that they kind of have is their limited fleet list. Since a lot of their ships, they can only have certain number of ships per army. I think they're the only fleet where they have a limited number of escorts that they can use, and they have some of the smallest cruiser restrictions than some of the other armies. Like I said, between all of the vessels, I love the Tomb Ship. I think it's ridiculously awesome. The Scythe, I think, is one of my favorite cruisers out of all of them. The Shroud, I'm not a big fan of. If I ever played the Necrons, I would probably only get one Shroud just so I can have the leadership bonuses for special orders when you get into close quarters combat with other vessels. But aside from that, they're pretty good in close quarters combat, but I kind of like the Scythe more, since the Scythe is more well-rounded than the other vessel. Plus, the Scythe allows you to get tomb ships, which I kind of like. And I do like the Jackal class escort over the Dirge. It's only a 10-point difference, and I think that the 10 points is worth what you're getting. Excuse me. Another major weaknesses is they do offer a lot of point offers to the enemy with some of their vessels, which kind of stinks on their effect. But what can you do? They have to give them some sort of disadvantage. But all in all, I think that their weaknesses are outweighed by their strengths. They are ridiculous army. I'm afraid to play them. I have no clue how I would play against them, and especially since I'm Eldar and a lot of my stuff just is ignored by them, which is ridiculous. I'm very much afraid of playing the Necrons. All in all, really nice army, easy to manage because there's less things to keep track of, easy to play. And all in all, there's no army that you will not have a major disadvantage over. And when you play against the Eldar, you just go, this is nothing, and you can fight them. It's basically it's not as one-sided a fight as with other forces that fight against the Eldar, which is great. So, all in all, really, really nice army. very powerful, especially if you guys want something unique and if you want to get a feel for what Necrons could be if they were given more love in the 40k universe. Then definitely the Necrons in Battlefleet Gothic are a real nice change of pace. And that's really all I can say about them as a whole. And all in all, in terms of combat-wise, they do have some long-range capability, but their major goal, from what I can see a lot of times, is more close combat-oriented, depending on your crew. If you just pick the Scythe Cruiser and the Tomb Ships, then they can do long-range and close-range, but in most forces, like, they're no good for ordnance control and payload, so in a sense I would consider them more of the medium to close range when they're firing ships. But in terms against fighting against long range armies, there's no problem, since they can zip right there and then blow them all away with their lightning arcs. So it's more of a medium range to close range army, in my opinion, because it does have some long range, but it's really only on 2 ships, and those 2 ships don't consist of the bulk of the army. Well, the Scythe kind of does, and it's again just a matter of personal opinion. That's how I foresee them in myself, and that is now all I can really say about the Force as a whole. And we'll put a conclusion on that till next time, when we'll look at the Tyranid fleet. So until then, this is Helios Raven signing off.